Okay. All right. So yeah, we're going to kickstart now. So I welcome everyone to the Brain Conference, and this time around we are coming with a 2-day workshop on acing your scholarship applications. And today we'll be having our two amazing speakers come help us and teach us the right way to go. Yeah, because and before we start, I would want to give a short prayer and we kickstart. Um, so I'll be praying in as a Christian. I'm not despising any other religion. So yeah, Heavenly Father, we thank you for a moment like this. Thank you for everyone here. We pray be exalted in the name of Jesus. We commit our activities here today unto you, and Lord, come and take control in the name of Jesus. And let your name be highly exalted at the end. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. All right. So today, without wasting much of our time, I'm going to be introducing our speaker. Our speaker. So we have two speakers for tonight, and that's Oluwatuyi Olowoyeye and also Iyanuoluwa Filani. So, not wasting our time, I'm going to be reading their citation, and from there, we take it up from there. Uh, all right. So, I will start with Iyanuoluwa Filani. Iyanuoluwa Filani is a PhD candidate of Civil and Environmental Engineering at University of California, Davis. He is a recipient of Commonwealth Shared Scholarship and the Petroleum Technology Development Fund (AOD) to study in France. His passion for developing sustainable solutions to environmental challenges at global scale inspired him to pursue a PhD degree in addition to his MSc in environmental engineering from Newcastle University in the United Kingdom. Iyanuoluwa's research integrates life cycles assessment, that is LCA, life cycle costing, LCC, sustainable system and data analysis. His research developed framework for evaluating the environmental footprint of civil and transportation infrastructure throughout their, their life cycle to inform policy decision and guide long-term sustainable value creation. Outside research engagement, he reads books, volunteers, produce musical instruments. Mind you, he plays the piano, bass guitar, and drums, and hang out with friends. He is enthusiastic about inspiring the next generation of scholars to learn and grow personally, academically, and professionally. I present to you Iyanuoluwa Filani.
Yes, you can come
So,
in, sir.
so you can come in, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm super excited to join you this evening. I understand that for most of you are currently in Nigeria, while the time currently here is past 12 p.m. So I'm excited to be here, and I know you all have a lot to learn today. You have a lot of questions. Some of you have the ambition of studying abroad, of getting admission somewhere out of Nigeria, and I think today we will not be answering all your questions, but we give you everything that you need, or for the most part, the resources that you need to harness these opportunities outside Nigeria for study abroad. So without wasting much of our time, I will just share a poll with you that I want each and every one of you to answer to give me a perspective on how I would tailor today's presentation and today's workshop. So in the meantime, can I ask somebody here, just tell me, why are you here for this workshop? What do you aim to? Okay, so why are you here? The question is, why are you here? What do you aim to learn from today's session?
Hello.
Okay, go on. Go on, Gospel.
Good evening.
Good
Good evening,
evening.
everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm here to learn about scholarship application. how to go about writing my SOP in an effective way, how to message professors, and what not to do about securing a scholarship and applying to grad school in the US
Okay.
or out in the abroad.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That's quite insightful. Somebody else, Dennis, Eddie Don, Kabil, Kasara,
Yeah.
Adam.
So I think
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just like you said, I'm here just to learn how to apply for scholarship and the effective way to actually email potential supervisors and so many other things. And again, how can we actually carry out research, or for example, now if you study something else and now in your undergrad, then now you are looking into transitioning into another field, how will you go about it? Is it possible? What are the things to take note of?
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much for that. Who else? One more person. Eddie Don.
Uh,
Okay, over to you.
yeah, good evening, everybody. So I'm hoping to learn the mistake I've been making, that's where I've been going wrong, or what I've been doing wrong, because I've been applying to.
Can you come again? I don't think I can hear you, or we can hear you.
All right, I hope everyone can hear me now.
I can hear you, yeah.
All right, so good evening, everybody. I was saying, I'm here to hopefully gain knowledge on what I'm doing wrong, the things I'm doing that are wrong, because I've been applying for different opportunities like that since my final year, and when I was done till now.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So I just shared the poll. You can just take out some few seconds to just quickly fill in the poll so that, we can get some perspective. Okay, yes, I've gotten 3 feedbacks on what you aim to get from today's session. I'm excited. First of all, I also want to appreciate the host of this event for creating the platform to actually share and educate students on how to access scholarships and all. I understand that the purpose of this workshop is tailored more towards the personal statement side and the CV side that can be applied for admission and even applied for scholarship and applied for funding. But maybe I'll touch a bit on funding and mailing professors in case you're interested in what they do. And of course, we'll be having other workshops that will be tailored towards, other things like writing code, emailing professors, writing research proposals if need be, and whatnot. But for the purpose of today's presentation, we'll be talking more on personal statements, how to write an award-winning personal statement. Okay, so yeah, let's see. From the poll, some of you have not filled the poll. Please just check your phone or your devices to check the poll, and so that it will give me a sense of what is going on. Yeah, some people said they've applied for Commonwealth, Erasmus. Some people are considering Europe. Some people are fairly confident. Yes, so let's try to fill in the poll in the meantime. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet.
It's coming up. Yeah, it's coming up, sir. Not yet.
We can
Yeah,
see
we
it
can
now.
see your screen now.
Okay, that's good. Today we'll be talking about essays and personal statements. I hope you can still see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, we can.
excellent. So we'll be talking on essays. How do you go about essays and statements? Because there is no way you want to study abroad without having good essays written, carefully and concisely written. So we'll be talking about tips to write an award-winning essay or personal statement.
Yes, we can see your screen now, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
all
we can.
right.
You don't allow my way to dry. Give me one hope now.
All right, so like we all know, we have different kinds of personal statements. We have different statements. We have personal statements, statement of purpose, motivation letter, letter of intent, statement of interest, research statement, and diversity statements. I mean, all of these statements, you come across them either if you're applying for admission in any university in the UK, in Europe, in America, or either you're applying for funding opportunities in the US or North America. Now, generally speaking, personal statements, SOP, motivational letter, letter of intent, they all mean the same thing. And the goal is for you to tell a story about yourself, to sell yourself. Why do you want to go for what you are going for? What is the story behind you wanting to study abroad? What is the motivation behind you wanting this scholarship? So you are trying to sell yourself, telling them about your past, your present, and your future. But what we see is that so many people undersell themselves. They don't know how to create a convincing story from their experience. So today, one of the goals that I have is to share with you how to tell a convincing story to secure a scholarship. By God's grace, I've been privileged to get a number of scholarship, Commonwealth scholarship, PTDF scholarship, funding opportunities in the US and whatnot. So from that experience and the experiences of others, I'll be able to also give you some tips on how to go about your essays. Basically, they don't ask you for research statements in Europe. They don't ask you for research statement. Research statement has to do with, tell us about your research history. What have you been doing? What research are you currently doing? And what research do you aim to do? Diversity statement talks about, have you worked in a diverse background before? How well did you work? How well did you fare in diversity, in inclusion, and every other thing that has to do with working with people from different intercultural or multicultural setting? But for the purpose of today's presentation, I'll be talking more on personal statements, which can also be motivational letter, statement of purpose, letter of statement, or statement of interest. So the next thing is, what are the do's and don'ts? Now, this is not an exhaustive list, but I'll just focus on these 5. Number 1, follow the instructions and prompts. What we see is that most students are just quick to write something. Oh, let me just quickly write something. They said this. They don't follow the instruction. Different scholarships or different admission committee require different things. So it is important or imperative for the student or whoever is applying to go through the requirements to see that he or she answers the questions needed to be answered. Number 2, personalize your statement. Yes, just like I said earlier, you are projecting self. What have you done before? What is your motivation? What is your academic history? What is your background? You are personalizing it. You are humanizing it. I understand that we are in the days of AI, and these days people use AI to write things. You can use AI to write compelling things, but now there are also tools that can track essays and personal statements that are written by AI. So you want to humanize your story. Tell us your story. What is your motivation? What are your experiences? What do you have? What do you aim to get after all of this? And the next thing is avoid exaggeration. I understand that so many people are desperate to leave the country. Oh, I want to the Japa syndrome. Oh, I want to leave the country, just go anywhere. And so they come up with stories. The challenge with that is if you are interviewed and you give a wrong story and you are not even prepared to defend it, you will just fail and they will know, because most times the faculty members or those who are judge your admission, they are people with experience. They know when somebody's lying or not coming up with the truth. So you want to avoid exaggeration, avoid plagiarism. Oh, somebody has won this scholarship before and he shared his essay with me. Let me just copy and paste it. No, because sometimes universities and scholarship bodies put all these essays into their plagiarism software. And so you don't want to be disqualified or rejected. And of course, avoid repetition. What we have seen from people's personal statement is that they repeat the same thing in different ways. It's just like you are saying A, but you are saying A in different ways. You want to avoid that because it wastes times. It makes you look unserious, that you are not really prepared for what you want. And the 4th thing I want you to know is clarify your why. The truth is, for any personal statements, either for admission or for funding or for scholarship, your why is very important. Why do you want to study this course? Oh, are you going for a master's or a PhD? Why a master's? Why a PhD? Why the university? Oh, I want to study in University of California, Davis, my school, because number 1, it is among the top 10 universities in the US. Oh, because in this course, it is ranked number 1 in the United States. Your why must be very, very strong. Why the country? Just like I asked earlier that in the poll, that what country do you aim to study, Europe, Asia, why the continent? Those are some of the questions that you can answer in your personal statement that show that you have done your homework and that you really, really want this admission or you want this scholarship. And the fifth one is, after you have written your essays, I want to encourage you to share your essays with others. Let others that have gone ahead of you, even your friends, review the essay. We all have blind spots, right? There could be oversight while we were writing, grammatical errors and all of that. Share it with others. Even when you have used softwares or something, Grammarly and whatnot, always give it out for someone to read it. The person should also have a feel and see from the lens of a committee reviewer, somebody who will review the application, so that you'll be able to make informed decisions regarding their feedback. So remember these do's and don'ts, following instructions and everything. What are the elements of a good statement or essay? There's no one way to write a good essay or statement, but one of the things I've noticed about essays that are really, really good that I've seen is they are clear. We should talk about clarity. They are concise. They are always to the point. They are coherent. There's a connection between each of your paragraphs. There's a connection. You are not saying there's a problem in cancer in your country, and what you say you want to study as your long-term career goal is malaria, to solve the problem of malaria. There has to be a logical flow of all of your paragraphs, right? You also have to be consistent, uniform. I mean, I know some people use different essays. They tweak their essays for different purposes, but you have to be careful to be consistent with your grammatical construction, with the variant of English you use. If you're applying to the UK or Europe, you want to use the variant of English that is suitable and appropriate for Europe. If you're applying to the United States, you want to use the variant of English that is appropriate for the US, and you don't want to mix different variants of English in one essay. So it must be clear, concise, and succinct. That's not to say that you should not express yourself, but make sure you don't water down what you are saying by using too many words, right? I understand that sometimes some of us want to use some English to show that, yes, I can write this, I can do that. But to be honest, back here in this part of the world, they don't really use some of those English. They use simple English. The most important thing is for you to communicate whatever you want to say in a clear and effective way, such that your target audience understands what you are trying to say. So be clear, be concise, be coherent, logical flow, and be consistent. So one of the structures I think we can talk about is, the first structure is the structure of timeline, your past, your present, your future. If you want to write an award-winning scholarship, the first thing I think you should talk about is what is your background? What did you study? Like your course, oh, I studied this. I studied physics, and I did this in my academic qualification. I finished with a first class. I finished with a 2-1. I finished with a 2-2. I finished with this. What are your leadership experiences? Because basically there are three broad classifications of scholarship. There are those who focus more on academic qualification. That is not to say they downplay other requirements. They look out for academic qualification, leadership experience, and your ability to influence or impact your community. So there are different scholarships that address those things. Some will demand more of what are your academic experiences. Some will demand more your leadership experience, like Chevening. Commonwealth is a mix of both academic and leadership, for example. So you want to tell us about what is your history, where are you coming from? That's why I put it, where are you coming from? The next thing is present. Where are you? What is your current job? Because I understand somebody asked the question, what happens if I want to switch to a different career? What my past is different from what I'm currently doing. And it's even different from what I intend to do. How do you navigate and tell a compelling story with that? We'll still touch on that. But basically, the idea here is that you can present your essay using the past, the present, and the future structure. Another thing for present is, what are your current engagements? Volunteering engagements? Are you doing any online courses? Even if this is not what you studied in university, you want to switch to maybe a course that has to do with tech, AI, cybersecurity, and you studied fishery in your bachelor's. How do you do that? How do you create the story? And we'll still talk about that. Then the future is where you are going, because in some essays, they want to know what your plans are. What are your short-term goals? What are your mid-term goals? What are your long-term goals? Okay, if you get this scholarship, what do you want to do with it at the end of the day? Do you intend to further your PhD? Do you intend to further your education in studying a PhD? Do you intend to work as a policymaker? Do you intend to work as a consultant? Do you intend to work as a practicing engineer? There are several options. However, your essay, a good essay, captures the past, where you are coming from, the present, where you are currently, and the future, where you are going. Another structure is the structure of problem, solution, and benefit. Problem, solution, and benefit. Problem talks about what problem exists. Oh, you are writing a personal statement. In Nigeria, 40% of girls, 40% of children don't have access to quality education. You know, that's a problem. You are trying to present the problem, right? The next thing is, and the problem could be at a local stage, could be at an institutional stage. Maybe there's lack of skilled workers in academia to address certain issues. Maybe there is an environmental problem. Maybe there is a problem. You're trying to say this is the motivation for me wanting this admission, or this is the motivation for me wanting this scholarship. What problem exists? Then what solution are you profiling? Solution in terms of, okay, the reason why I'm applying for this admission or applying for this scholarship is so that I can use this skill set to address this problem. Is so that I can skill up to actually help contribute to the institutional capacity to address educational gaps in Nigeria's educational sector. That is one of the things they are looking out for when it comes to the structure of your personal statement. What problem currently exists? What solution do you envisage? And what are the benefits? Benefits, and there are several ways to express the benefits. Use quantitative measurements. Oh, at the end of this, when I come back, 90% of those who did not have access to quality education before will now have, based off of this, based off of the trainings I will undertake. What are the performance educators? There will be a decrease or a 5% reduction in the number of people that are, maybe they have cancer or something. So they want to see qualitative measurements, right? And the final one is, who are your target audience? Be clear in your personal statement, either for scholarship, for funding, or admission, who your audience are. Are your audience for a particular low-income community? Are they for an unrepresented set of people? Is it for the male child? Is it for the girl child? You really want to be clear in what you want. And the next thing is the structure. The final structure I'll talk about is using the STAR approach. STAR talks about situation, task, action, and result. The situation is, what challenge did you face? But this is particularly used when you are trying to tell us about your experience, your volunteering experience. Okay, you said you solved the problem. You're trying to share your track record with me. How do I know that you are qualified for this next position? How do I know that you are qualified for this scholarship? How do I know that if I invest in you, you will solve you would be able to handle and manage it well? You can use the STAR approach. First of all, the situation. What have you done in the past? What challenges did you face in the past? The task talks about, what was your role? Oh, I served as the team lead for this. Oh, I served as the director for this. Oh, I served as the social media for this. You are telling a story based off of what has happened in the past. Just like I said, this is particularly used when you are trying to convey your volunteering experience or the experiences that you have had in the past, to show that you are contributing not just to yourself, but to the community. So what was your role? Action talks about, what exactly did you do? It is possible to volunteer for 100 organizations, yet for you not to do something actively. So it's not enough for you to say that, oh, I tutored here, I did this. They want to know, what exactly did you do? What was your role? What specific thing did you do? Oh, one could be, I collaborated with this to ensure that people had access to this, something practical and tangible. Oh, I spearhead campaigns to help reduce open defecation in this. Oh, I spearheaded campaign to strengthen IT literacy in secondary schools. And at the end of it, 50% of students had access to IT resources. Those are some of the things you can say as actions to show that, yes, you have really done something and you are capable of doing something. And the next thing is the results. Just like I said, quantitative measurements of performance indicators. And in this part of the world, the value statistics, 50%, the 50% increase, 20% decrease, all of that, use it to strengthen the quality, the depth of your application. And how do I navigate these dynamics? So this will be like one of the final slides. How do I navigate the dynamics of my personal statement if I'm switching to a new field? The question is, do you have transferable skills? Yes, transferable skills means that there are skills that can be transferred from one field to another, regardless of if you have the technical know-how or not. It could be soft skill. It could be leadership skill. It could be something. You can leverage on that transferable skill that you have. Just like I said, maybe you studied fishery in your bachelor's and now you want to study something tech or something AI or data science. Maybe you did a bit of data analysis in your project as an undergrad. Maybe you did something related to data analytics. You can always link it up to where you are currently, to where you see yourself going. So look out for your transferable skills in your current field. And the next thing is, are you well informed in the field that you are going to? Don't just say, oh, I want to apply to study cybersecurity. Oh, I want to apply, I want to change the field entirely. You have to know, keep abreast of what is going on in that field. And I'll link it up to the fourth thing that I noted, the lack of experience in new field. The next thing is addressing gaps in your academic and professional history. Take, for example, you finished your bachelor's in Nigeria in engineering, and for one reason or the other, because of job, you went to the bank. You went to work in the bank for like 35 years. And now you want to pursue a postgraduate study in abroad, in the UK or in the US. How do you make a story there? Because you have 5 years for your bachelor's, another 5 years work experience in banking just to make money. And now you want to go back to engineering to study. How do you make a story out of it? First of all, you have to be honest. I'm not saying you should tell them that you switched because of money or something, but be honest that you did this. But just like I said, there's always a transferable skill set. There's always something that can link. If you look deeply, there is a skill set that is linked across your past, your present, and where you are going. If only you look in deeply. Even in the banking, there was something that you did that can be useful for the engineering you want to go study. Right? I know one of my friends here in UC Davis. He studied, what did he study in Nigeria? I think he studied animal something. Then he worked in a bank for a few years. But right now he's doing his PhD in something related to genetics and all of that. See the diversity in his work experience, his academic background, and what he's currently studying. So his past is obviously related to what he's currently doing in his PhD, but his experience, he was able to tell a story based off of everything. I think when he was in bank, he was also involved in sustainability. He was also involved in grant funding for animal welfare and something. So there's always something if you look inwards. And the next thing is connecting past experiences with future goals. Just like I said, find connections and links. Find connections and link. And thankfully, there are tools that can help you find connections that are not really obvious. You can use AI to help you generate ideas, to generate ideas. I'm not saying you should use AI to write your personal statements. I said earlier that personalize and humanize your personal statement. However, to get ideas, you can use some of these tools, but find a link. The truth is we're in a world where everyone knows that you can change careers, you can change field anytime, but your why, you telling the story of your why is what makes the difference, is your unique selling point. They call it USP, your unique selling point. Even if I change field, why? What's the motivation for me changing field? What is the why? That is always the most important thing. Nobody will question you for changing field from one field or the other, but if you're able to tell a compelling story behind the why, I guarantee you will get it. I know some of my colleagues who studied agriculture and studied this, but they are currently doing a tech-related course right now. So it is telling your story. And the final thing is, okay, so the fourth thing that I said I'll touch is lack of experience in your new field. You can take online courses. Yes, it is something different from what I studied in my bachelor's. You can take online courses, Udemy, EDX, Coursera, to at least get a foothold of the industry or the field that you are going into. Then volunteer. I cannot overemphasize the role of volunteering. Volunteering helps you to build capacity in areas that you never had or you don't have experience in. So it's an opportunity for you to build experience in a new field. You can join email listings. Oh, let me subscribe to these email listings of this particular tech or this particular field that I'm going into. You can also join professional membership abroad, not just in Nigeria, not just locally. Join this professional membership. Those are ways to keep abreast of things that is going on in your field, And the final one is addressing setback or failures. Now I'm determined to get a scholarship. I'm determined to get admission. However, I finished with a 2-2. I finished with a 2-1. You don't cry over split milk. Yes, you didn't do so well in your bachelor's, but you can always make a compelling story based off of what you are currently doing now, right? you know, I strongly believe that a comeback story is always usually interesting than the story of you being winning all the time, right? A comeback story gives more motivation and all of that. So you want to, I'm trying so that I can move on to the, yes, so addressing setback and failure. What have you learned in the course of your failure? What are you doing to improve yourself? Oh, right now in my bachelor's, I had 2-1, I had 2-2, but right now I'm taking professional courses. I'm doing this to strengthen this. I have work experience to strengthen my academic experience. And this is what a typical statement of purpose looks like. This is based off of the requirement for my current school, the University of California, Davis. So when they say statement of purpose, sometimes they give you the prompt. What did they expect you? They said yes, could include your academic research experience, your employment, your foreign language proficiency, your study, your internships. It can include your interest, your specializations, career goals. It can also include the fits, your interest and matches. I'm just giving an overview before I go to some of the personal statements that I have access to. And what about diversity statement? Because these days now, some universities, particularly in the United States, require diversity statements. They want to know how well you've been able to work in a team. What are your educational, familial, cultural, or economic or social experiences? Oh, I grew up in a socioeconomic background where we did not have access to blah, 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 blah. But that's notwithstanding, I was able to rise above the challenges to finish top of my cohort. You know, those are some of the things that ask your diversity statements, basically talking about how you were able to work in diverse environments, different cultural background. How did you serve? Maybe you are the kind of person that served in your student organization on campus or something. Those are things they want to see. How have you been able to work in a group? And that's why I'm emphasizing the role of volunteering. Volunteering is one of the ways to actually strengthen your diversity statement, because it shows that you are able to work across different things and to work with different organizations. And I also have some resources regarding how to write personal statements and whatnot. So I'll be sharing that. But before I go on, let me stop sharing my scheme. I'll just show you a couple of personal statements and how the personal statements adopted some of the things that I've shared with you. Does anyone have a question based off of what I have presented? Any question? Questions that you have based off of what was presented and what questions you have. A question came in that my question isn't directly related from what we have treated. I would like to the speaker to explain admissions in the fall spring semesters, which time of the year they are and when, and also what time to look out for admissions and scholarships. Okay, I'll quickly answer that. Can you all hear me? Okay, so I believe the person answering this, I believe the person asking this is talking about the United States. Yes, in United States, you can apply for fall admission, which is usually September, resumption in August and September. You can also apply for winter, which is usually January, and spring, which is usually, I think, March and April, right? So you can apply anytime. Usually in America and the United States, people apply mostly for fall semester or for fall quarter. So if you are targeting to resume in fall in the United States, it means you should have applied in December of the previous year or January of the same year, right? And if you are applying, just have it at the back of your mind that if you're applying for fall admission, you should target to apply like 6 or 7 months before. So if you're applying in fall, you should target December of the previous year, January. If you're applying for winter, you should target around June, July of the previous year. If you are targeting for spring, which is around April, that means you should be talking about September of the previous year. So those are the timings that you should consider when it comes to applying for the United States. I mean, to the universities in the United States. I hope that answers your question. How can I write a professional CV? Thankfully, there's a session coming up tomorrow that addresses CV, either for academic opportunities and or scholarship opportunities, or even internship or job opportunities. We have capable hands who will be doing that, who will be sharing that. Maybe because you've been using your system, you will have to reboot your system. Okay, I could try that. How can we get it? You can drop in questions. So in the meantime, can you drop in your questions? Maybe I should reboot my system, just like someone recommended. Even if we are just able to go through one of those personal statements, I think it will be worth it. So let me still leave. In the meantime, still pour in your question. I think Tui and some of my other friends will still be able to answer you. Tui, do you want to continue? Like, as I intend to leave right now.
No, you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Just leave and do what you want to do. All right. Okay. So did we get the polls back? I mean the feedback on the polls? Well, I mean, Peter, did we? Let me check it anyway. Okay. So I'm trying to check that.
Yes.
How confident are you in writing the scholarship statement? Some said they are slightly confident. Let me see if I can open my screen.
Yeah, there is a percentage attached to each option.
Yes, I have that already now.
Okay.
I could share the screen as well.
All right.
Replace. Okay, so currently some said they're slightly confident. Nobody said they're very confident. So fairly confident. We hope that at the end of the session, did we meet your expectation? Okay. Just 12 have answered, 14 answered that. We want every other person should feel free to drop in there. Oh, that would really help us. Let me stop sharing. Okay, so did everyone also drop where they're joining from? Okay, added to experience on data analysis. Can you recommend where I can learn more basically online? Also, which to further my data science. So Ezekiel, what did you study? Could you write that down? What was your background in? You can unmute your mic, Ezekiel. Let me see if I can find you. Can you unmute so that I can hear your...
Yeah, I study animal science from OAU.
Okay, so you are
Hello?
done with HND, right? You're done with
Yeah, I'm
HND, right?
done with my BSc.
Oh, BSc. Sorry, I thought you said poly. I thought I had poly. I'm sorry about that. So you're done with BSc, animal science. Yeah, that's really great. So I'm not sure if you know the area you want to go into, but I feel you're on the right path. Because one thing is, there's basically no field that you want to really be in the US that would not require data science skills. It might not really be intense, but you need some form of data science. When you get over here, your professors might guide you. You might need to take more classes on maybe Python, program with Python, data science with Python, maybe R or whatever, depending on how intense it is. But I know that data science is a major thing when it comes to animal science, most especially when you're dealing with genomics and some other funny things that they do in animal science. So it's a great thing. So for you to learn more about data science, I feel you might get some resources on LinkedIn Learning. If you're a student, you can use your university ID to gain access to that. And Coursera as well. There are some universities also that have access to that. So feel free to learn from those. I know in some cases on Coursera, you might not necessarily be able to get certificate if you've not paid for the course. So instead of doing that, why not just try to do the course for the sake of learning, not for the sake of getting the certificate, so that you can get better doing that. So I feel you're on the right track in terms of data science. It's going to be a major boost to your profile. I feel that's all I can say about that. Okay. Good evening. Thanks for this. My question is how easy it is to get scholarship without IELTS and the likes. Iyanu that just presented, he didn't do IELTS. I didn't do one too. Iyanu actually didn't do GRE. I did GRE. Okay, so you don't need the IELTS to get a fully funded scholarship in the US. All you just need is, did you finish your program? I mean, from your name, I know you probably finished from Nigeria. So, except if you studied in a place like, say, Hungary, or you did your bachelor's outside of the country where they don't speak English and you were taught in their language. So, as long as you grew up in Nigeria, English is a national language, as it were. So, you should be fine. You don't need to bother yourself. There are some schools that require IELTS and TOEFL, but you can always look for alternative. You don't need to bother yourself too much about the school when you have. Do you know how many universities are in the US? Yeah, more than 1,000. I mean, several of them, and with different programs. So don't allow that to stop you. One thing you should do is document all the schools. For example, say California, how many schools can you apply to there? Programs, the professors you want to write. The same thing with different Iowa, like write out professors in each school, researches that you want to do with them. That's the best way. So don't cage yourself into thinking, I only want to apply to schools with IELTS. If you see that a department is requiring IELTS, you can also request for a waiver. Just tell them, hey, I'm from Nigeria, I've been doing this. This is what I have. You can try sharing your screen, Ian, and see if it works now, while we are still trying to sort this out. Okay, so that's that about IELTS. I'm a graduate of chemical. I think it's
okay. Can you all see my screen? So I'll just go through. I had some other essays, but I think I'll just go through one. Hello, somebody asked, my question is about the fall application. When exactly is the fall semester starting? And when best is it to apply? I said earlier that fall in America is August, September. And the best time to apply for fall is 7 months before, 7, 8, 9 months, or even 1 year before. Usually application opens for fall admission in November, December of the previous year. And it closes till maybe priority deadline is usually December of the previous year, while general deadline is like January or February of the same year. So fall applications is November. We're approaching the time now, November, December, and late application January, February for fall. We've actually done a seminar, a very, very good seminar touching US admission, US funding opportunities. And so I think the organizers will definitely share the links with you, either for US, for Canada, for Sweden, I think for Erasmus and some of the scholarships there is. All right, so basically, just like I said, I highlighted some things in this personal statement. For example, this essay uses a particular structure: problem, solution, past, present, and future. So, for example, this was one of the statements I used for one of my PTDF application. For example, if you look at the first thing I highlighted, I told them, I talked about how that there's a problem regarding oil spillage in Nigeria. I told them about why a program in environmental engineering would equip me with the necessary skills. Then the paragraph 2 talks about my background, my past. I talked my past in terms of the course I studied, my bachelor's degree in this, what I got, the skill set I got in my undergrad. Then my current role talks about my present. Right. I told them how that I'm keeping abreast of cutting-edge technologies in the field of environmental engineering and what I do in my leisure. My leisure is talking about present tense. So putting my past, my present, and I also made mention of the problem. Remember, problem, solution, and impact. Then right here, I also talked about a program, the problem, lack of indigenous technical capacity, and how my MIC would help me to build capacity in there to address the problem. So anywhere you see yellow talks about the problem, anywhere you see pink talks about the solution, white green talks about what I intend to do and the impact. So I told them about the knowledge and skill set I will get. And I also talked about the impact. Look at what I said, an indicator of the impact of this plan. So we're seeing in the overall improved health. We talked about qualitative measures and performance indicators. What changes in the performance and what changes in the percentage of people who have access to something. And I talked about my career plan. Remember I told you past, present, future. What are your career plans? I aim to work with the ministry of this after I'm done. I talked about ultimately my study would help this, then my career goal, short-term career goal. And in the long run, I aim to pursue a career applied in this. And this particular structure can be followed either you're applying for scholarship in Europe, scholarship in US, scholarship anywhere. You have to tell a story and use that story to your advantage, whether in terms of a problem, solution, impact format, or past, present, and future format. Then another one, if you look at this statement, the first heading is quite different from the first one. In the first one, I didn't talk about my personal background. I talked about a problem. But for this particular one, I talked about the problem, how that problems and challenges that I faced have spurred me to make informed decision about my welfare and my growth. I told them about how my study in agricultural engineering. And by the way, I studied agricultural and environmental engineering. So when I wanted to apply for Commonwealth Scholarship, I had the option of applying to agricultural courses. And I also had the opportunity to apply to environmental courses, environmental engineering courses. So you can apply to different courses based off of your background. You just have to come up with something distinct and unique. So for this particular statement, I think I was applying to a food-related program for Commonwealth admission or something. Why for this one, I was applying to an environmental program. That's why you have the agricultural engineering. So I tailor each application to what is being required. For example, in the yellow here, I talk about the problem that we are facing. Remember, problem, solution, and impact. Then I talked about the solution, and MSc in this will do this. I talked about the modules for the course, this and all of that. I also talked about another problem, inadequate technical expertise. I also talked about the solution. I talked about the impact, how that I will return to my alma mater to do this, that. And the impact of this will be shifting from a linear-based economy to this. I will not waste time on other ones that touched on scholarship. These ones are more focused towards admission. Of course, can be applied to scholarships, but I have one for scholarship that talks about volunteering, that engagement, personal statement, writing to the committee itself regarding your academic experience and all of that. So basically, I'll summarize by saying that you want to present your essay, your personal statement, your diversity statement in a particular structure. There's no one way to write it. Either you want to use the past or an experience or something that has happened to it, maybe a traumatic experience. Or while I was a child, we did not have access to quality water. We did not have access to this, and that spurred me, that motivated me to decide, that inspired me to make a change, that I would build capacity to address this problem. Anything, your experiences, either traumatic experience, pleasant experience, unpleasant experience. I think from one of my personal statements, I wrote about how that there was one day we were given an assignment to draw the maps of different continents in the world at night. And Africa was dark, and all other continents appeared to have light, and Africa was dark. And for me, my personal statement, I wrote that how that assignment spurred me to contribute to creating the power problem in Nigeria. So anything can be your source of motivation, and that's the story you want to communicate either to your professor or to the admission team. And I also share my diversity statement. I'm not going to. Diversity statement talks about, just like I shared earlier, the purpose, what have you done, your academic history, this, and all of that, your committee. And if you look at just this, I talked about what I did for my undergraduate study. I talked about how I was able to do this in a community, to volunteer in a secondary school, to tutor people on this and all of that. I talked about even what I do currently in this organization, where I serve as the program coordinator to organize tutorials and online seminars. What have you done in addition to just your academic experience, in addition to leadership experiences? How have you been able to interact with people from diverse backgrounds? And if you want some of sample essays, we are willing in this group, not just me, to share some of the essays that we have used and some of the essays that other people have used to win or get this scholarship. So any question? I'm sorry we did not really have time to touch it because of our time and the glitches that we had initially. So any question? It looks like I'm the only one talking. I'm not even sure if people have not slept in
No,
Nigeria now.
no, we are with you, sir. We are with you, sir.
Please,
Before
can
you
the
went,
facts be emailed to us? Okay. I need help in
somebody is
approaching
asking a
Chevron
question.
essays. Okay.
Is
I
it-
think the organizers are noting all of that. The Chevron essays. I think for Chevron, they talk about networking, how you've been able to network. They talked about your leadership experience. I think 4 basic things, if I'm not mistaken, for Chevron. And it's the same way. What we'll do now is to look out for sample Chevron essays that we have and probably share it with you. But it's still the same concept. Different requirement, but the same concept. You want to talk about, either you want to use the STAR approach, the situation, the task, your action, and the results, or you want to use the past, the present, and even in your essay, you can use everything. The most important thing is to ensure that your essay is concise, is coherent, is consistent, and that's a logical flow. But I believe the organizers are putting resources that would help you with the essays. I'm a graduate of Computer Engineering FUTA of the International Scholarship Masters. Okay, most of the international scholarship I've come across as NYC as the requirements. Are there scholarships one can apply for without completing? Yes, definitely. I'm not aware that there are international scholarships that require you to, for NYC. I may be mistaken, but I don't think there are international scholarships. I understand that local scholarships like maybe PTDF, Total, and all of that require you to finish your NYC, but for scholarships like Commonwealth, for Erasmus, you don't necessarily need to. But I mean, it's advisable that you complete your NYC because you never can tell how you want to come back to serve. Huh? Okay, it looks like someone is speaking. So yes, how long should our statements or essays be? Good question. For example, PTDF will tell you that your essay should not be more than 600 words. Erasmus may tell you that your essay should not be more than 1,000 words. So it is usually specified, right? It is usually, I think generally speaking, it is usually specified. And if it is not specified, I think targeting around 500 to 600 is good. But usually those admission committees, either for admission or scholarship commissions, will tell you that this is the word requirement. This is for, I think when I applied for Commonwealth, then we had about 12 or 11 different essays, and they'll tell you 100 words, 300 words, 200 words, 100 words. So they actually let you know. Or are they usually specified? Yes, they are specified. Please, I don't know. I don't understand the keywords fall, spring, winter, and autumn. In the United States or in the global north or in this part of the world, seasons are divided into 4. Fall season, winter season, spring season, and summer season. Fall is usually from, I think, from September through to November, 3 months. Winter is usually from December to February. Spring is usually from March to May. While summer is usually from June to August. So 3 months. So usually they resume in fall. They resume in August, right? So that's what we mean by fall, spring, winter, and autumn. You can resume anytime. So fall, spring is just talking about the seasons we have in America. Fall talks about June. Fall resumption is usually August, September. Winter resumption is usually January, February. Spring is usually March, April. Why autumn? Why summer? By the way, autumn is the same thing as fall. So let me clarify that. Autumn is the same thing as fall. I hope I got that right. Yes. So the next question is, I'm currently undertaking, no, I'm a graduate of chemical engineering from Futmina. I'm possibly currently serving. Is there a possibility of getting a PhD? Definitely. In Europe or in the UK, you need to have a master's before getting a PhD. However, in North America, particularly in the United States, you don't need a master's to get a PhD. There are several people who just came with their bachelor's degree and they started their PhD in the US. The thing is, in the US, as a PhD student, you still take classes. You take classes, maybe for your first year, in your first year or second year, you take classes. However, in Europe, in UK, once you go for your PhD, because they expect you to have a master's certificate or a master's, or undertaking your master's program, you just do research straight up. So yes, it is possible. What you just need to put in place is, what is my research interest? What do I have interest in? What is my background that I can, and what is my current job position? And where am I going? And then you start reaching out to professors. Again, we have your emails. The organizers of this will share links to previous workshops or previous seminars that has addressed getting admission or funding opportunities in the US or scholarships in any part of the world. So I'm undertaking my MSc in soil and water engineering with flood modeling. I look forward to securing a PhD in the US. Considering that I'm in my research phase now, what advice can you give me to secure a PhD, even without completing my current program? It is to end in August 2025. I feel you have already started. Complete it. However, if you need to change right now, you just need to start reaching out to professors. The first thing first is get a list of universities. Okay, go online to Google what universities are offering this course, blah, 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 blah. Oh, University of California, Berkeley. Oh, University of Iowa State University. Oh, University of San Diego, Arkansas State University, and all that. Map out those universities and look for professors or faculty members who are doing what you are interested in doing. They may not be doing exactly what you are doing, but there must be an interest. There's what we call potential interest and existing interest. You may not have an existing interest in something, but once you see what the professor is doing and you read about what the professor is doing, you can have potential interest. So you just email the professor that this is, I saw through this, this is my background, this, I finished with this, I'm currently doing this. I would want to work in your lab. That's one of the ways to reach out to potential supervisors. In the US, there are universities that would give you admission without you having contacted any professor. There are also universities that will mandate that you have a supervisor before they can give you admission. My current university, University of California, Davis, and my current program is an example. Before they can give you admission, you need to have a faculty member or a supervisor who is willing to supervise you. So those are the dynamics that come into play when you apply to graduate school in the US. But first of all, do your homework. What is my research? And what is my research interest? What background do I have? And where am I going? Then go online, search for universities that are actually doing what you want to do. Map out a list of 5, a list of 10, and look out for faculty members who are doing something you are interested in or that you could possibly have interest in, and mail them that this, and this is my background. I want to do it. I'm interested in working in your lab. Are there opportunities and all of that? And you can also link up with their graduate coordinators. Just like I said again, we've already done seminars that address this, and my team members here would definitely share the link or share the resources at the end of today's meeting. Do we have other questions? Abi, you posted here that you are muted. Can you, if you have questions, you can still share. It will still, I'm happy to entertain any more questions that you may have. And if there's no question, maybe I'll just give my final words. Any question? In my first approach of cold email, is there a need for an attachment of CV, or would you just advise me to state my interest with words via email after identifying? Well, I would not say there is a more preferred way, but I think that it is always good for you to send your CV, because sometimes, apart from reading emails, if a professor is really, really willing to absorb you into his or her team, they want to check your CV. So I don't think there's any harm in sending your CV. However, be sure that your CV matches what is actually required. And thankfully, we'll be having a program, another workshop tomorrow that addresses specifically writing a professional CV that is tailored to faculty members, CV that is tailored to volunteering organization and work, for work and all of that. Yes, there's no harm in putting your CV. I think when I wanted to cold email some professors back then, I sent my CV, I sent my transcripts. If I remember correctly, at least those two things, whether they check it or not, at least they have my email to see, and they have my certificates and my transcripts and my CV as proof of me saying that I have this experience. Oh, I finished with this particular grade in my bachelor's and whatnot. So I don't think there's any harm in adding that to your CV, but you don't want to make your cold emailing too long. To be honest, every one of us, we get. And maybe me, for example, it may not be you. For me, when an email is too long, it's a lot of work because I already have a lot of emails to read. So you want to make it succinct and apt. Remember the 4 C's for your writing: coherence, consistency, aptness. I can't remember the rest, but it has to be coherent, consistent, concise, and clear. Clarity. Yes, I got that right. Then I started some applications. There were no place talking about funding opportunity. I stopped. What did you think? What do you think? Ask questions. Reach out to the graduate coordinator of the program. I'm interested in this. Are there internal fellowships? Are there internal fellowships I could apply for? They'll be able to provide guidance. Sometimes you may not see all the information on the website, but ask questions. Either the faculty member or the graduate coordinators of the program. Usually for every graduate program, there's always a graduate coordinator, and the graduate coordinator are always informed regarding the scholarship opportunities, fellowship opportunities, funding opportunities in that program. So you don't want to just give up because you did not see scholarship, unless it is stated clearly on the website that there is no scholarship or there is no funding. But don't stop. And also don't put all your eggs in one basket. Stretch out your applications. However, let me put a caveat that it is better to go deep than going wide. Some people put in a lot of applications, but the applications are not really deep, and so they don't get anything. For me, my strategy is I can put in 5 solid deep applications than put in 50 applications that are not so deep or that are just shallow. So yes, have a list of schools, but make sure you are deep in your application. Thank you, sir. Is it compulsory for me to write IELTS, GRE, if I have English proficiency? No, it's not compulsory. For me, in UC Davis, I did not write any proficiency test. I know that there are some people who come to the US without writing TOEFL or IELTS or GRE. So there are some schools that specify GRE is not required. I think most schools now, not most, but quite a number of schools in the US nowadays don't require GRE. And yes, if you have studied in an English-speaking country like Nigeria, you can tender something or get a letter showing as proof that you studied in an English proficiency environment, English community, right? So yes, you don't necessarily need that. And even if there are schools that are requiring that, and you know that for one reason or the other, you may not be able to prepare for any of those exams, tailor your applications towards other schools that matches what you have. Don't limit yourself that, oh, it must be Ivy League schools. Oh, it must be this particular school. Stretch your applications. Then can we mail a professor even though it wasn't stated on their lab website? Yes, definitely. The professors I emailed, they didn't necessarily post on their lab that they needed the students. At different seasons, whether fall, summer, winter, spring, professors usually need some students to work in their lab. So they may not have the time to update their websites that, oh, we need this. So you take the initiative, mail them that you are interested in this. You're interested to work with them, and that you saw this, what they are doing. Even if they don't have funding yet, they can always keep you in the loop that, okay, right now I don't have opportunity. However, in the coming quarter or in the coming semester, there will be funding. Then you can apply towards that. Yes, can we email two people in the department? Well, there are people who says that you don't want to cause confusion, right? Because sometimes they discuss about people that have applied for admission or people that have, talked. These professors get to engage among themselves. So people advise that you don't reach out to multiple people. I mean, how would it look like when Professor A knows that you also message? You wrote to Professor A that, yo, I find the research interesting. Then you also wrote to Professor B, oh, I find the research interesting. You also wrote to Professor C, oh, I find the research interesting. And they all meet together and I say, this person reached out to me and they're like, this person does not really have a focus. So you want to be strategic about it. I'm not saying you cannot reach out to two people in your faculty, but you have to be strategic. No, don't do something that you know that could implicate you. Let me put it that way, right? I mean, I would not say I would never say never. That's my policy. But be strategic about it. It's advisable that you don't mail too many professors in the same faculty or in the same department because they discuss among themselves. The admission committee discuss amongst themselves. Oh, who applied? Who is applying for this? Okay, yeah. So, then for how do I secure a scholarship for funding with a GPA of 3.34 out of 5? Very good, very good. You can secure scholarship and funding. For Chevney scholarship, I think you need a 2-2. If I'm just saying, for example, for Chevney, you don't necessarily need a first class or a 2-1. What they are looking for is your leadership experience, and you've been able to show that you have contributed to developing your community, either at the local stage or institutional stage or global stage or national stage. So I would encourage you to channel your applications to scholarships that don't necessarily emphasize on first class or 2-1. However, you can also strengthen the depth of your application and scholarship by stating what you currently do. Remember what I noted about the navigating dynamics, that what of failures of the past, in the days of ignorance, oh, I didn't study well, I didn't do that. What you are currently doing now, tell a story about it. Oh, right now I work with this. Right now I'm building this. Right now I'm working with a volunteering. I'm working with a non-profitable organization to reduce this, to do that, to do that. So talk about your now and strengthen what you have. Tell a story about what you currently do. And I guarantee you can get, there are people who have gotten funding or even coming to the United States with a low CGPA. I know somebody now currently doing a master's in a particular program, or they wanted to do a PhD, but because of his CGPA, his GPA, he had to do a master's first. So it is not don't cut yourself off because of or don't give a cap to your progress because of your CGPA. What are you currently doing now in terms of your volunteering, in terms of taking online courses, in terms of your work experience? Those are things that matter, that can add to your deficiency of the past, either if you are going into a new field or you didn't do well in your previous endeavor. For a graduate to go for a PhD in the US, what are the things to look out for a graduate to go for PhD in the US? Well, first of all, I would say that if you are still in the university, I would encourage that you try as much as possible to finish strong. Yes, there's a popular saying in my home country that school is calm. Well, there are some of us that, by God's grace, through the good grace that we have been able to secure some scholarships. And that is not to say that if you don't have those grades, you cannot secure some scholarships. But if you still have the opportunity to finish strong, with a strong 2-1 or with a first class, please give it a push. Then number 2, I would encourage you to volunteer, build capacity, because you need to tell your story in your essays. Volunteer in your student organization group, volunteer in your community. If you're having sanitation or something, volunteer to, yeah, not a scam again. We know better now. Yes. Some time ago, I made a presentation and I talked about 5 things I wish I knew before leaving school. And one of the things I noted there was that one of the things I wish I knew was that education is not a scam. Like people will say, oh, it's not by book. Oh, Bill Gates Elon Musk, they did not go to school. Bro, that is them. They finished from, some of them finished from Harvard. Not finished, but they dropped out of Harvard. But we are dropping out from where? So what am I trying to say in essence is that your current academic qualification matters, volunteering engagement matters, volunteer, build capacity, explore leadership roles, network with people, those who have gone ahead of you. Network with them, speak with them. Oh, I'm going to do this. Can you help me do this? Ask questions. Come for programs like this to learn. Even if you are not applying now, even if you are still currently in your NYC, open up yourself to new ideas and possibilities. Study and do courses online, massive open online courses, MOOC, EDX, and all of that. Just do something. Don't just stay put and say that, well, I have first class, I have 2-1. There are people who have 2-1, strong 2-1, and first class 4.8, 4.9, but cannot get scholarships because they did not add to what they have. Scholarship these days or admission is not just based on your academic qualification, but your personal development, your leadership experience, your volunteering engagement. All of those things are things that makes your story compelling and exciting. You know, I was reviewing one of the essays I wrote in my early years of scholarship, and I was laughing like, oh my goodness, if I were the one reviewing that essay, I would say this guy is not serious. Because it was really funny going through what it was just quite shallow, but at least it was a step. It was a step. And I look back now, I'm like, wow, wow, wow. So just do all of that, build capacity. And I think the reason why I wrote it then was because I think as at then I had not really built capacity in terms of volunteering and all of that. But I should also say that some of those little experiences that you have, tutoring your colleagues, tutoring in fellowship, are things that you can use to tell a compelling story, even in your personal statement. So don't downplay any experience you have, whether you led a group of 7 or you led a group of 10 or you led a group of, don't downplay it, right? The idea of PhD I have had from school is building thesis. Is it true? I don't understand what this question means. Is building thesis. I'm not sure what the question means, but I understand that for a PhD, from a PhD student or candidate, you have to write a thesis. Even for a master's, you have to write a thesis, dissertation or thesis. It's just like an undergrad, you come up with a, yes. So for PhD or master's, just like your bachelor's, you have to do a project. And at the end of the day, you come up with your PhD in this, PhD in this. One of the major requirements for any academic program is to come up with a project that leads to you writing a thesis or a dissertation. So yes, but the thing is, you don't necessarily have to know what you want to do. Thankfully, in the US, you don't necessarily have to know exactly the project you'll be working upon. Just have an interest. Mail the professor, oh, this. And when you start, you can always fine-tune your interest. You can even have a project on mind, but you now come here to do something not related or completely different from what you thought you would do. So it is not cast in stone that you have to have a particular project, or you have to, in the US, you don't even write research proposal, which I think may be daunting for some people. When they hear research proposal, they're like, I can't do this, I can't. Hopefully there'll be a workshop later for those who be applying for schools that require research proposal, maybe in Canada or something. But right now in the US, they don't require research proposal, just your personal statement and maybe diversity essay and some other things. But for right now, I would encourage you to work on the content of your personal statement and yeah, give it a shot. Don't cap yourself. Don't limit yourself. You can do it. We've had stories of those who are 2 third class and are currently studying abroad, making waves and making impact. So don't let your background limit you. Talk about if there is something, an issue with your past, be honest about it, but talk about what you are doing to build on your weaknesses and strengthen your strength. To build, to strengthen your weaknesses and to build on your strength. Talk about that thing. The truth is, everyone finds a comeback story fascinating. Imagine in a football match, a team has lost 6-0, and the end of the story is a comeback of 7-6. The team that was 6-0 behind, coming back to it means that you have resilience. You've been able to build resilience. You've been able to build stamina and adaptability. So those are things that they want to really, really see. So don't limit yourself to what you have. Please, I don't have any publication. I want to pursue MSc program in biochemistry. I have a CGPA. Don't let publication hinder you, particularly for the US. Some of us did not have publication. Maybe the only publication that we had was our project report, and some of the volunteering research experience that we had. For me, I started my master's in FUTA. So I used the opportunity to volunteer with some of my professors or some of my lecturers, to help them to do some things. And I think I used part of what I did with them as some of the things I noted. But you don't have to write paper. And even if you are working on something, you can always put it there as manuscript in preparation or something. Even if you have written a post online or something, put it there as an article. Don't downplay anything you have, but don't just put anything. Put something that is solid there. Put the link there so that people can always refer to. You don't just say you have done something without putting proof, because sometimes they will ask you for the proof of what you are doing. So I'm saying in essence that you don't necessarily need a publication. If you have a report from your bachelor's, put it there. Seminar report, put it there in a professional way. There is a how to put your dissertation or your thesis report, your bachelor's thesis report as list of publication, or your seminar reports as list of your publication. So don't just put it there. Yes, some applications of masters are showing thesis, non-thesis. Can you clarify that? Yes, in the United States, there's a thesis option and non-thesis option. Thesis option talks about you doing a particular project and writing about the project. The non-thesis option talks about you not writing. It's just doing like maybe a seminar or something, just working on a project and having a presentation. So you're not necessarily submitting a thesis like a report at the end. So at the end of the day, you don't get a Master of Science or Master of Engineering in this thesis option. Anybody who sees your certificate in the non-thesis option knows that you did not actually write a report or do a project that resulted in a dissertation or a thesis. However, the thesis option shows that you were able to carry out and you wrote something about it. Yes, so I don't know if I was able to clarify that. See, are you trying to say something? All right, I don't know if I've been able to answer your questions. And please be free to reach out anytime for more questions. We have a Telegram group where you can ask your questions, and we would be happy to share answers with you or to give you the necessary resources that you need to address your question.
All right.
And I also want to say thank you to the young man who told me to put off my system to address the issue. Thank you so much. I forgot to say that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, so any question, contribution? And if I were to give a closing speech from my end, I would say that you can do it regardless of where you are in your journey. Whether you are just beginning to apply for admission or apply for scholarship, you can do it. The truth is, just take that first step. Share what you have written with somebody who has experience. Let them review it. And from there, you keep building on what you have. Don't limit yourself. Don't bring a cap to the opportunities that you can apply for. Yes, I know that, logically speaking, there are some applications that are suited for some group of people more than some group, but don't bring a cap to yourself. You can use what you are doing now to get to where you are going. If only you can write a compelling story about your past, your present, and your future. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Yeah, that was such a wonderful, explicit. That's the word for it. That was such a superb and explicit session. Thank you so much, Mr. Iyanuoluwa Filani. Thanks for honoring our invite. Thanks for being magnanimous in answering our questions. It was mind blowing. I mean, I want to believe that our audience did pick more than one, two, three. I know we picked a lot from this session, and I want to believe it was worth the while. Thank you so much, Mr. Iyanuoluwa Filani. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing with us. Thank you for going all out. I mean, you're so, so superb. Thank you so much, sir. And to the audience, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for waiting till now. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for joining us. We actually apologize for the glitches. It was not intentional. I believe that we all are getting ready to be part of tomorrow's session because it's going to be another wonderful session, and you all need to be here. And please, if you feel you have people who would need to learn from, or if you will need to be a part of this meeting, this session, this workshop, kindly share. One of our organizers will drop the link to register so that you can share with your friends so that tomorrow we can be more than this. The more the merrier. So without much ado, okay, for these questions, there's a link on the chat box that that would lead us to the Telegram page. We can further drop those questions there and they'll be duly answered. But as I now, it's late over here in Nigeria, and we really need to end this meeting so that we can all go and rest and prepare for tomorrow. And those who are still having a day over there can enjoy the rest of the day. So thank you all for coming. It was nice having you. Thanks for keeping the chat box buzzing. Thank you and God bless you. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you, our team. Tomorrow is 8 p.m. 8 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night. God bless you. Hi.